In this video, we're going to add some styling to our trips. So first of all, let's add some margin bottom to the results div to avoid the trips overlapping with the footer. So let's go to the styling.css file and select the search div. Well, it's got actually an ID, search results. And let's add some margin bottom. So I'm going to go for 100 pixels. Also, I'm going to add some margin top of 20 pixels, for example. Then let's move to the driver. So you've got the first name. So actually we can't see the first name there. So let's have a quick look at our variable. So the first name is the element of key first name. So let's have a look at our table. The first name is supposed to be first underscore name. Okay, so that's why it's not showing. So let's save. Okay, so let's try again. Okay, so now you can see the first name. All right, so we will need to add some options to the accordion so that no accordion is active when we show the results in the first line. Okay, so once we show the results, none of them is supposed to be active. So let's go ahead and do this. So we're going to go to the accordion method inside our JavaScript file and add some options there. So to make all these sections inactive when we just load the trips, we're going to add the option active, which we will set to false. Okay, also we can make sure that the height of the elements fits the height of the content by using the height style property, which we'll set to content. Okay, again, we covered some of these properties earlier in the jQuery UI section. And to remove this icon, okay, we don't see any icon there when you open. So to remove it, we can use the icons property and set it to false. All right. Now, before trying our code, we will need to add another option for the active option to work. This option is going to be collapsible, which we'll set to true to make sure that all panels are collapsed when we load the trips. Okay, so we need this option to be set to true in order for the active to give effect. So now let's save and refresh the page and try our code. Okay, so you can see that all panels now are collapsed and it looks a lot better now. All right, so now let's move to the different elements and add some styling to them. So let's start with the driver. Okay, so you're going to style the first name. So we're going to select it using its class driver. So let's go to the CSS file. So let's increase the font size. So I'm going to go for 1.5 M. And also we want to capitalize the text, meaning we want the first letter to be uppercase. So we're going to use the text transform property, which we'll set to capitalize. Okay, so we are selecting the driver class. So now let's save and try our code. And that looks better. Okay. All right, now let's move to the departure and destination words. So we place these inside a couple of spans like this. That's the departure and that's the destination. I've got a couple of classes there. So we're going to select them using the classes. So let's select both, departure and destination. So let's increase the font size to something similar to the first name. Okay, so let's save and refresh. Okay. Now let's move to this part. So we're going to increase the font size of the price. So let's increase it to 1.5 ems as well. So you're just going to select the price using its class. Regarding the per seat text, which is the class per seat, we're going to leave it as it is, or let's give it a font size of 0.5 ems. Okay, and the number of seats available, we're going to make it slightly bigger than per seat. So let's go for something like 0.7. Let's try that. Okay, so let's save and try. Okay, so the price still looks small. Okay, so let's understand what's going on. Okay, so let's go for a bigger font size for the price. Two ems, for example. Even 2.2. Okay. Now you can see that the text in the final website is actually aligned to the left instead of being centered. So let's use the text align property and align our text to the left like that. So we're going to select this bit here, okay, the whole div, using the journey class, and sets the text align property to left. All right, that looks better. Now let's move to this bit here and just add some space under destination. So we can actually select the time element and just add some margin top right there. So we've got a class time for this element. So let's give it some margin top. So let's go for something like 10 pixels. All right, that looks better. Now let's push text, which is inside the last two columns, to the right, like that. So we're going to select the last element, which is the elements of class journey 2, and give it this time a text align to the right. Okay, so let's save and try this. Okay, so that looks better. Okay, so now let's go inside the driver details. So again, we're going to text align this to the left. So the driver details are inside a div. So the driver details are inside a div, and we gave it a class more info. So let's select that class and the text align property and set it to left. Okay, so let's have a quick look. All right, so that looks better. Now let's style the last element, the comments, by adding some border. Okay, and also let's add some space right there. So to do this, we can just select the final element using its class, about me. And add a border top. So let's give it a width of 1 pixel. Let's go for a solid style and a gray color. Also, we can just add a margin top to add that space. So let's go for 15 pixels, for instance. Okay, and okay, so let's try this for now. Okay, that looks all right. Let's add some padding right there. So only padding top. And let's go for 5 pixels. Okay, that looks fine. Okay. All right, now let's move to the journey summary div. So we're just going to add some styling to it. So that div is right at the top, and it's got a class. Well, let's give it a class journey summary. So let's select this class. and text align the text to the left, and also increase the font size because it's too small here. So I'm going to increase it to 1.5 ems. So let's try this. Okay. Okay, we've got a line break right there, just before closest journeys. So let's add that in the code. Okay, so let's try again. Okay, that looks better. All right, now let's just echo the no results div that shows up if we have no journeys matching our search. I'm just going to echo it right under this one to see how it looks. So let's do that just to see how the styling looks. Okay, so let's give it some styling. So we're going to align it to the left and also increase the font size. We're going to give it more or less the same styling as that. So we're just going to select the same class, okay, when we are styling the other one. I'm going to remove that line for now. Okay, so let's save. And now we are done with the trips styling. Okay, so now let's understand why when we were adding trips, once we added a trip, we had an issue with the form right after. So let's try. So now if we create the trip and then go back to create another trip, we can see that we are still seeing the elements there and we're not supposed to see them. So if you go back to the JavaScript corresponding to the submission of the form, which is right there, we can see that we emptied the form by resetting it, but we didn't hide the elements. So right after resetting the form, we're going to hide all the regular and one-off elements. So you're going to select both classes, regular and one-off, and hide them. So let's save, refresh the page, try again. So let's add another trip. Now if I open the form again, we can see that the elements are now hidden. All right, so now we're done with the search process. And in the next video, we're going to build this nice spinner that you see, okay, before the trips load. And we're going to apply the spinner for the different Ajax calls that we're doing in the project.